Alright, well, we just finished going 0-3 in a draft that was so abysmally sad, I literally, in a fit of just sadness, deleted all of the videos because it was just heartbreaking. It wasn't a good deck, it wasn't even an interesting deck, it was playing white and M20, which is bad, and I hate playing white. The games were just like, my opponent played the uncommon Chandra, and I was like, oh, that's better than every card in my deck, and that's an uncommon? This is not good content. And it was not good content. And then I also got, like, flooded and screwed. It was just 3 very, very bad games where I was just, like, very, very salty, and also not particularly engaging, because, yeah, just nothing really happened. I just got bowled over a bunch, so I scrapped all of it, and we're going to pretend like it never happened. And we're going to try again. We're going to pray to God that we don't get white as one of our open colors, because white is such a do-nothing color in M20 that literally with, like, what I would consider good white cards, we still just didn't get anything. Anyways, we got Lotus Field, and we got a Legion's End. Oh, this is actually good. It's rotating probably relatively soon, unfortunately. And I guess Crisis probably isn't the biggest threat anymore, but I've needed this card in the past and refused to craft it, so maybe I'll play some Brawl. Fire off another ranked draft. Hopefully we can get somewhere. We'll do our best to not end up in colors we despise. Not a great start to the pack. There's nothing really super exciting. Obviously, Repeated Reverberation isn't really a good draft card, because it requires a lot of. It's a 4-mana doubling effect for a spell, which is pretty expensive for pretty low payoff. I might take Overgrown Elemental just because it has the highest ceiling of the uncommons, and the other 2 uncommons are like fine but not super interesting to me. Seasonal Growth I do like, but I think I like Overgrowth Elemental more because, if we get into an Elemental deck, which is great, I would love to do that. Overgrowth Elemental is awesome. I love it. So I think we're going to go ahead and pick that up here. Well, we'll follow it up with a Barkhide Troll, which is a great green card to follow up our first pick green. Pacifism is, of course, a very good card, but white is bad. So I'm not super excited about it. Chandra's Outrage is an excellent removal spell, and also red is good. And Netcaster Spider is also good. But I think I want to take the green card to follow up my green pick here, because the 3-mana, or 2-mana 3/3, that can, make itself blank a removal spell simply by going down 1 counter to make it a 2/2 is pretty strong. You get this out on turn 2, and you can do a lot of damage. Alright, so we got some stuff here. So we got Yurok's Wavecrasher, we have Yurok's Fenlurker. I really like Yurok's Fenlurker. The only issue I'm seeing with that is that we already picked like a double green 2-drop, so having that in the same deck as Yarok is kind of awkward, or the Fenlurker is kind of awkward. Also, the Wavecrasher I think is pretty decent in elemental decks, and also it's an elemental, which works with our Overgrowth Elemental, so I think I might give the Yurok's Wavecrasher the edge over the Yarok Fenlurker. Dawning Angel is, of course, a good card. If you get enough of these good white cards, you can get into a white deck that probably does okay, a Skies sort of deck, but we're not really interested. It doesn't really break any ties, over a Yarok's Wavecrasher, which has better synergy with our deck, and so we will grab it here. Lightning Stormkin. That's interesting. This card is very strong. Of course, we have blue and green cards, not blue and red cards. But if this wheels, although it's pick 4, so that means we would get it on the wheel pick 13. That would be very unlikely. But seeing these cards is later than this is probably. I wish this was a fair bit later, so we could say, hey, maybe that means there's not a lot of red and blue going on. As it stands, Wolf Rider Saddle is an excellent card. It's a great sort of green evasion sort of thing. And we already have, like, again, we're 2 deep in green cards. The Stormkin is probably just a stronger card, but I think Bullfighter Saddle works better with what we do. Not a ton going on here. Probably take the Pattern Matcher. We don't have any cards that we have 2 of yet, but it's pretty easy to do that in this format. I found there's a lot of just good commons, so you'll be happy to have like doubles, and the payoff for this is quite high. But we obviously wouldn't play it unless we had like one thing at least to search for. Brineborn's Cutthroat's really a good card. Like, it's a 2/1 that you can flash in is fine, and then if you can ever put counters on it, that's just gravy. Which is, in blue, totally possible. You don't have to try too hard to have a couple good things that happen at instant speed in blue. So we got the Gift of Paradise probably here. Again, we're in a green deck. Green decks like to ramp. Green decks like to fix colors. If we're in green, that lets us play like red, or it lets us splash a lot easier with the Gift of Paradise. So super happy to pick that up here. Nothing too exciting. Gruesome Scourger's a fine card, but not really what our deck wants to do. And also double black, so it's not really good to splash. Might just take the green with Sentinel. Totally lame, just kind of very cuttable card, but it is a playable card. Well, we got Season of Growth on the wheel. I do like Season of Growth. I'll probably pick it up here. I would take a Soul Salvage like a lot later to have something off the splash for some value, but I think Season of Growth is pretty good, especially if you don't work to pick it, like, we're picking it here on the wheel. Because just like getting this down on turn 2, if nothing's going on in this really grindy format, and then like having cards that, like having creatures scry upon entering the battlefield is like pretty good. And then if you're in green and you get like a Feral Invocation and you get like a couple things that maybe target, then you are feeling really, really good. So nothing really interesting here. Take the Frilled Sea Serpent, just in case we need like a big card at the top, since if we're kind of in like a big ramp deck. Probably take an Anticipate, not sure if we play it. Probably take a Vorst Claw here. This is just a big green dude. It's a big green elemental dude, which is pretty good. Take a Heartpiercer Bow, not sure if that'll come about, but we're not going to take the sideboard card in Best of 1, that's for sure. Yeah, okay, all is forgiven, M20. You really dicked me around last draft so bad that I couldn't recover. But giving me Gargos in pack 2 after playing so much green, in like a deck that I couldn't have scripted it better myself. This card's insane. If this card comes out, you win like you just win almost every game where this resolves. Like, I'm not sure how you actually defeat this card. You murder it, and I get to like kill one thing. Like, best case scenario for you is that you just murder it immediately, and that best case scenario gets me a 2-for-1, right? Because I get to fight one of your creatures. Like, this card's just bonkers. And then if it stays down, if you get to untap with this thing, and you just get to attack with an 8/7 with Vigilance, just like, whatever. That game's over. Easy, Gargos. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We got a few interesting picks here. Scuttlemutt's like a fine 3-drop that lets you ramp and fix. Though Scampering Scorcher is very good, and we kind of have an elementally thing going on here. Pacifism's not like terrible off a splash, of course. I don't want to play white, but I will play a Pacifism off a splash. Center Courser's Inner Colors, and it's a totally solid 3/3. I think it is between these 3 cards here. I'm just trying to think. Considering we have Gargos, and we have just like we have like strong cards that we want to, we have the Gargos, we want to make the game go longer. It's possible that we want to take the Pacifism for a splash, but also Pacifism isn't the best splash target because it's relatively cheap. And while, of course, you probably don't play it on turn 2 a lot, you would like to be able to play it, early enough that playing it as a splash card can be tricky. Scampering Scorcher is nice. It goes wide. It gives haste to our creatures. If we play a Vorst Claw, if for some crazy reason we were at 11 mana, we could play or 10 mana, we could play a Vorst Claw and a Scampering Scorcher, and then this guy's got haste. It's kind of pie in the sky thinking, though. But with elemental synergies, I mean, Scammering Scorcher might just be good enough. I think it's probably better than Pacifism in a deck that has a fair bit of elementals. Not really anything going on here. Feral Invocation is worth considering because it's just like a decent sort of combat trick because it's got flash, it's got synergy with both our Brindeboard Cutthroat and our like Season of Growth. But Cryptic Cave getting value out of the land slot and letting you draw when you're a little flooded is pretty hard to deny. And I think I will take the Cryptic Caves here. Feral Invocations also come a lot later. It's entirely possible this wheels too. It's fairly mediocre. Take the Centaur Courser here. It's a good 3-drop. 3 mana 3/3 is totally fine. Nothing too exciting. We don't have a lot of blue, so Sage's Denizen doesn't really even do that much. We don't really want a second Forced Claw. Goblin Smuggler, I don't want to get too kind of greedy with our splashing. Heartpiercer Bow is not that interesting. We might take it just because if we get there, we can get there, and it's kind of crazy, I guess. Maybe that's actually what we do then. Bone Splinters is really good, but, you know, it's a splash, so... And we don't get a ton out of sacrificing our creatures in these colors, so... I'll probably pick up another Gift of Paradise here. You know, just ramping more to get to our Gargos is good. Fixing is good. There's really just no reason to take... Bone to Ash is probably the second best card for us, but I'll happily take a Gift of Paradise with considering our deck over that. Lavagant Brawler is pretty good. Evolving Wilds is also good, but we have 2 Gift of Paradises. I feel like Lavagant Brawler is probably good enough in our Elemental deck. You know, Lavagant Brawler works really well with Scampering Scorcher because it goes quite wide. So I think this is actually better than the Evolving Wilds, and I consider this card very good, and I take it fairly highly if you're trying to splash. But I think Lavagant Brawler is like what we want to splash for, so we'll take it here. Audacious Thief. That's the pick. No, we'll just take Befuddle. Maybe it'll go in the deck. It's not a bad card, but it's not like an exciting card either. Woodland Champion is okay. It's basically a 2-mana 2/2, but we have a fair bit of action on turn 2. And that Caster Spider can be nice because our deck probably folds pretty quickly to like a flying deck. So if we can kind of like hold them off on the ground with this, we're pretty happy about it. Unsummon's good. I'll happily take an Unsummon for this deck. Take the Feral Invocation. Fortress Crab is pretty easily cuttable. Seems like we have a pretty strong deck so far, so we're not super worried. Got the Stone Golem. The Wolfkin Bond is not too interesting either. Well, I mean, I guess I can't complain about my rares. Masterful Replication's not that exciting. I don't know. It's like, it's good, but it's just like 6 mana to make 2 3/3s. It's not an exciting rare. Cloudkin Seer is a pretty exciting common. It is a, what's the word? Elemental, so it has some synergy with our little kind of elemental things we got going on. It's got synergy with Warrock's Wave Crasher because we like casting it twice. I think it's just the best card in this pack for us. You know, Brindeboard Cutthroat's pretty good, but I think Cloudkin Seer is just better, and we're not looking to make like a Simic Flash deck. Well, we'll take the Renowned Weaponsmith here. We have 2 Heartpiercer Bows already, so we'll take this here and then possibly like slide that little package in there if it looks like it's good for us. Probably take the Loaming Shaman here. Might play it. It can be really good in grind your matchups to just get like 8 of your best cards when, you know, you've already drawn a bunch of lands. Though, Rugged Highland is probably actually what we should take here because we do want to have, you know, a nice dual land to splash these 2 elementals. And Loaming Shaman's fine, but I don't think our deck benefits from like the really grindy gameplay as much as like if I was playing a Golgari deck or something. So I think I might take the Rugged Highlands here. Thicket Crasher and Ember and Challenger's Ember. Oh wait, no, wait, we're not base red, so Challenger's Embercat's not on the table. Thicket Crasher is really good. You know, it's a good card by itself, and if it comes down with like Force Claw, turning this into a 7/7 with Trample, it's like, wow. It's just, you know, upgrading this to like a Colossal Dreadmaw. It's very strong, so I think we'll take this here. Skipping Heartpiercer Bows, granted, I'm not super interested in trying to play it if it's not there. Lightning Stormkin's pretty good. I don't know if we want to play it, but it's probably what we pick out of this pack. There's nothing really interesting. But maybe we play it, I'm not sure. Reduced Ashes is a fine red removal spell. Totally perfect to play off the splash. It's only 1 red, so. Cerulean Drake's pretty decent. I mean, a 1/1 flyer is not bad. It has protection from red, which could come in handy, and it can sacrifice itself to counter a spell that targets me. That comes up fairly infrequently. It is a little bit more of a sideboard card, but I'm not sure if I want a second Thicket Crasher, because we have so much happening in the 4-drop slot. So maybe I'll pick it up here. Probably take a Mammoth Spider. Got a lot of stuff. Like, our deck isn't going to be fast by any means. We're really wanting to just kind of like ramp and get out some crazy stuff, and Mammoth Spider is a totally awesome card, so we'll take it here. So this is kind of an interesting point where we could like change a lot about our deck, because Soul Salvage, like Soul Salvage is a way to get back some of our best stuff. Like if we lose Gargos, just getting it back with Soul Salvage will probably get a concession from our opponent because the value is insane. You know, Force Claw is pretty good, Mammoth Spider is pretty good. We have good targets for like returning stuff with Soul Salvage. But then the question becomes, do I do that and play 4 colors because I have 2 Gifts of Paradise, or do I cut red, in which case we lose Lofkin Brawler, Scampering Scorcher, and Reduced Ashes? Or do I just play the sensible 3-mana 3/3 that always works in our deck, no matter how the deck ends up? It's actually like kind of a tough call to me, because I think that this does better at grinding, which is really powerful in M20, but this is just like obviously the most sensible card. Soul Salvage also gets better, like the better card quality you have. You know, if you have better targets to get back, like it kind of just naturally increases in strength, right? We might have to cut Cryptic Caves, but we could potentially just throw 1 Swamp in there and then have like a weird 4-color deck going on. We have a lot of 3-drops, so I'm really not that excited about Centaur Corsair. I think I'll take this, and maybe if we got like another dual land, if we were really fortunate to get another dual land or something, we could consider it, but I'm still not sure. Got the Heartpiercer Bow. I don't think we'll play the 4th Heartpiercer Bow. Are we going to put that package in this deck? It doesn't seem like this deck really wants to do that. I mean, we do have a few creatures that attack, but like that would require us to cut like 4 or 5 things from our current deck, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. Like, our deck seems very strong without having to use the Heartpiercer Bow cheese. Because Heartpiercer Bow cheese, you do like to have a lot of mana, so you can throw the damn things down, but like, I don't know, you attach to something that attacks? I mean, it can be pretty busted. I will meditate on this, and I will take it over the uncommon for vault value. Alright, oh yeah, we get 20 gems for picking that Gargos, which was a pretty easy 20 gems to make. Alright, so we have exactly 40 cards. This is not the lands we want, Magic the Gathering Arena, and you know it. We have 4 sources of red mana. That is more than enough. Probably play more green. Let's check the split. Yeah, that seems probably correct. Actually, if we do 7/7, this is like a 4th, or the 8th, I guess. And most of our, blue stuff is relatively early on the curve, so we don't want to like miss out on it, I guess. Meh. We only need 1 blue early to basically do stuff, and we need a lot of green to play Gargos, which is what we want to do as often as possible. And Barkhide Troll. If I put this in here, this feels not that good, honestly. Because we would take out what? We would take out Lavakin Brawler, Scampering Scorcher, and Reduced Ashes, probably, and just make it like a Simic deck. I'm less excited about that. I would be closer to like playing Soul Salvage. So let's consider Soul Salvage. Let us reflect upon the Soul Salvage. We could cut Greenwood Sentinel, go down 1 forest, go up 1 swamp, then have 3 black sources. This is about as far away from white in this format as I could be. Get out of my sight. It's playing a 4-color deck, 4-color non-white. I mean, with 2 Gifts of Paradise, like, it doesn't seem that out of the ordinary, like, that outside of the realm of possibilities for us. We have a few good pieces of card draw. We have good scry. We've got a nice scry engine. We got card selection and draw, card draw. Like, it actually seems like possible to me that this actually works. It is very greedy, but this deck is kind of greedy and kind of does well with its greed. I mean, we have like some early stuff that we can sacrifice if needed. Ideally, of course, this would be Loaming Shaman. We probably should, like, taking Loaming Shaman when we had the opportunity might have been better for the deck overall, because we probably are fine with red mana, with having 3 sources and not having this Rugged Highland, but not sure. Because, I mean, this is arguably worse than the Loaming Shaman, but we didn't choose this over the Loaming Shaman. Kind of wish I took the Loaming Shaman now. But, I mean, we'll probably be a lot happier if we can get our red creatures out and use our red removal more reliably. This will come, like, so late in the game that we might just naturally draw the swamp, so it's like, meh, not the worst thing in the world. If we mulligan and we get it, it's an easy card to bottom. It will be a dead draw sometimes, but, like, our deck is pretty resilient. And again, like, cannot stress, like, the M20 I remember is just so full of greed and, like, grindy games that are good and fun and awesome that, like, I think this might actually be a thing you can do. And then Cryptic Caves. Do we take out Cryptic Caves for a forest? Because Cryptic Caves is more of it becomes a greater liability the more colors you play. Because it's just a, yeah, I think we should take this out for a forest. Despite the fact that it draws cards, which is obviously very good, we definitely don't want to be in a situation where we can't play our green cards, because our green cards let us play our other cards. But this deck looks, this deck is very greedy. I'm not sure if it'll play out how I want it to, but I'm going to play it because it's fun. It looks more fun to do this greedy little splash. And I don't think we sacrifice so much, and the potential for upside is like so massive that I think if it's not the correct call, I think that it is not like sabotaging our deck and making it impossible for us to win. Whereas I think doing a Heartpiercer Bow package might actually be quite bad in our deck. Despite the fact that if you get to put 4 Heartpiercer Bows on one creature, you get to swing and deal 4. Well, now I'm talking myself into the Heartpiercer Bows. Ah, shit. That was a mistake. I should never have started talking. But I don't know. You also have to get all of them. Renowned Weaponsmith makes it extremely easy to do that. Whoops, sorry. Slipped right into my deck. Gosh. Maybe Soul Salvage isn't all that good after all. Then we have to ask ourselves, is this that good? If you take out Soul Salvage, Lavacan Brawler, Scampering Scorcher, leave in the Reduced Ashes because it's removal and you always want to have removal. So you've taken out 1, 2, so you've taken out 1, 2, 3. What else would you take out? Maybe take out the Feral Invocation. Feral Invocation can be quite good. I've been fairly impressed by this card, but also... I'm going to play the deck, or I'm going to leave the deck as is for now, just because this looking at this makes me happier than looking at this. Although this doesn't make me mad. Maybe this is good, actually. Maybe I do like this better. What's our creature count looking like? We need to have creatures if we're going to attach the Heart Piercer bows to them. 13 is pretty decent. Maybe we cut, if we were to do this, we might cut one Gift of Paradise and put a Greenwood Sentinel down so we have another creature. This makes a creature though, so it's kind of 14 creatures. I kind of like this actually. The Lavacan Brawler is good. Obviously these two work really well together, but is it better than doing a Heart Piercer bow cheese? Getting this basically guarantees I get all of the Heart Piercer bows. But if I didn't get Renowned Weaponsmith, how much does my deck suffer for what I've done to it just now? It's kind of tough. I might have to pool some people to see how impressed they actually were by the Heart Piercer deck before I make this decision, because I hear people talking about it all the time, but like, or back when M20 was a thing, but like, I've never actually experienced it more than like twice. And granted, when it went off, but like, and I guess we have the deck to make it go off, but I'll have to see. This is a tough one. I'm not sure. I am not sure what the correct play is in this situation, but at the very least, the deck will be strong no matter what we end up with because we have Gargos in it, so we will see what happens. Alright, see ya.